over the last few years, I had also landed on this very radical belief that nation states are not sustainable and something needs to change. There are a lot of pros to it, you mentioned, but I just feel like the cons significantly outweigh the pros. Like this whole incentive of trying to one-up each other. You have a disregard for natural resources, for the climate, wars. Of course, there's also a lot of manipulation that happens within your people as well, trying to get votes. I feel the way it's organized is not sustainable. And you brought up the history as well. I think throughout history, we've been moving into bigger and bigger scales of organization. Probably started with the caveman, went to tribal group, became a farming settlement, became villages, that became an empire, a kingdom. You brought up the Peace of Westphalia, nation states were introduced. America was, and probably still is, a conglomerate of distinct colonies. India is a consolidation of these princely states and empires and kingdoms. It feels like the next big step is now a bigger form of governance or like a bigger form of organization.
Yeah, an overlay. Like you look at India, like America, we have these different states, but we've homogenized more than India. You travel around India. I mean, you go to Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, or all these different states. There are real differences, different language groups, different, and even though there are people who are moving around India, your differences are real, and national differences are real, communal differences are real. We live in a world where we actually have differences, and having differences is great. As I said before, it's part of our survival strategy, but we don't need to gut the whole system. We need to add another layer, and that's what's missing. And that's why the global governance people, what I'm saying is I don't know whether we need to have a whole global government, but we need an additional layer so that we don't kill each other, because there are just some problems that we can only solve together. But it's hard because in every society they have the people, these strong people. They tend to be men who push in another direction, and we have Nietzsche's words, this will to power, and we'll always have that. It's probably in the nature of our species, but I think that the will to survive and thrive ought at least to pressure us to think about how can we come together to collectively solve collective problems.
Yeah, I think India is very unique in that regard. It's a nation state, but I think it's organized more like the European Union. So in a way, it is like the overlay. And you're right. There are these seeds that have been planted. You have the United Nations, you have the World Health Organization, World Bank, Interpol, International Monetary Fund, the Bretton Woods system as well. But at the moment, they're quite nascent, slightly weak in power, dependent on the member states.
They're weak by design. Right. Yeah, because the states don't want them to be strong. And I think that's the issue. The WHO couldn't really do anything meaningful in the early days of COVID, not because they aren't smart, not because they didn't want to, but because the Chinese government was lying to them. The Chinese government was blocking their access. So I'm in touch a lot with WHO, and they're great people. And I've repeatedly called Dr. Tedros a hero of the whole COVID origins conversation. But if we want a WHO that can prevent and address global pandemics, that's not the WHO that we've built. So if we want that, we better build it.